Welcome to the Beltway broadcast, the premier podcast for the workplace learning and talent development professionals of the Association for Talent Development's Metro DC chapter. We've got some great resources in store for you today.
Hello, fellow ATDers. I'm Christina Eanes, the 2023 Vice President of Marketing and Communications.
Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie Hubka, a chapter past president and a member of the Pod Squad here at the Metro DC chapter of ATD.
We also have Halyna Hodges, our VP of Operations and Finance, for our producer. Now for this episode, we are interviewing Vanessa Alzate. Welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited about this topic. I'm showing up curious because I don't have a lot of experience with TikTok.
Me too.
So I know, huh? So before we do get to the topic of what TikTok can teach us about learning and development, can you please share a little bit about your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got my start back in 2009 in corporate training. I was supposed to be a lawyer when I went to college. I was going to go the Elle Woods route, I love to say. Unfortunately, for my father, who is a lawyer, I did not choose to go to law school. And then I was stuck trying to figure out, well, what do I want to do? And one of the things I really loved doing in school was creating educational content. And that was one of my keywords. I graduated during the economic crash of 2008, where there were no jobs out there unless you had, 3 years of experience, and you're going to be making as if you had 0 years of experience. And on Craigslist of all places, I found a job with a software company here in New Jersey that said, we will train you to be a corporate trainer. And it was wonderful. And it was, was doing CRM training for pharmaceutical sales reps. And that is really where I got my start. And I learned all the things: instructor-led training, facilitation, actual classroom training, e-learning, all of the bits and pieces. And I always say I'm so thankful that it was for the pharma industry, because sales reps are so much fun. And they really made it super enjoyable. And I left there. And when I left there, I started freelancing on the side. And over time, through different career moves, I ended up building a freelance business that was bringing in just as much income as my full-time job. And then in 2017, I gave birth to my second daughter a year and 2 weeks after birthing my first. And I looked at my husband and I said, I cannot work full-time, freelance full-time, and have two, barely under one. So that is when we decided just to go all in on anchored training. And I never thought it was going to be anything more than myself. And then over time, it just became bigger than, anything I could have imagined. And now I feel like I'm really doing now what is my true passion and what I was put on this earth to do. So that's me.
I love that.
That's fantastic.
So to get us started, not everyone is familiar with TikTok. I mean, I've been on it before, but I'm not a regular user. Can you share a little bit about the purpose of the platform?
Yeah. So it actually started off as Musical.ly, I believe it was called, where you're just lip syncing to music, right? And I think that's what we all remember when it came to TikTok. It was people lip syncing or dancing to short clips. And I think that was really because of where it got its start, but also it was the beginning of the pandemic, in which we were just home. we had a lot of extra time on our hands. We needed something to do. Over time, though, people started posting content that was truly more educational. They were posting tips and tricks, and because we were home, people were doing more of that. They had more time to create some content and share some of those things. And it was one day that I was actually on Instagram, and I was going through my stories, and one of my friends on Instagram reshared a TikTok video, and it was a vegetable peeler going back and forth. And I was like, excuse me, how much time have I spent peeling vegetables the long way, number one? And number two, I was like, wow, this platform could actually teach teach me something in all of 7 seconds. And I started thinking back to all of the training I'd ever created. And I'm like, I don't think I've ever taught someone in 7 seconds. And that's shame on me as a professional. So I started really deep diving the platform, and more educational content has started popping up. And it's actually moved into being more of an educational platform, a lot less dancing and singing. You will still find some of that. But what is so amazing about this platform is it actually takes an interest-based algorithm. So you will get fed things that TikTok believes that you like and creators that you like based on what you have viewed in the past. And what makes that so special and different from other platforms is you're not just following your friends. And you're actually able to really learn more about things that are really relatable to you and things that you are truly interested in. And what's nice about that is you actually start to really see how many things that you didn't know, other people you could relate to that you would have never met otherwise. And so this platform has really it's been massively growing. I was watching Hulu the other day. I don't pay for without ads, so I do have to watch some of the ads. And TikTok has an ad on Hulu about the Learn on TikTok hashtag. And it's showing you different tips and tricks that people have learned just in 30 seconds. It's a fascinating platform to really deep dive right into.
I don't know that I'd really considered it as a learning platform before. So this has been a little eye-opening just to hear your take on that. I mean, this is really the most micro of the micro learning, if you want to think of it that way. So I would love to know, especially from your experience, having seen it at its origin with the singing and the dancing, and now seeing maybe more of the power that can be unharnessed by using it. What are some of the characteristics of a good or an effective TikTok video?
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first is your hook. And it's TikTok creators know you have 3 seconds to hook that person in. So you have to give them something that they're going to want to stay and watch your video, and they're not going to want to swipe. So it's usually talking to their viewer. It's a question that they know that their viewer has. It's giving them, hey, I'm going to give you the solution. It's really talking to what's in it for me as the viewer watching the video. And then you really get into the content and the meat of it, and you just keep it short and to the point, right? It's 3 tips, 5 tools, 7 words, whatever it might be, but it's always really short because you don't have a lot of screen space. You don't have a lot of time. And then the last bit of it that makes it really powerful is it always has some sort of call to action. And it's either comment with your experience, or share this with someone that you know, or go out and try it. And when I stopped and I sat back and I was looking and dissecting, these are all things that we talk about as professionals, right? Know your learner. They know their audience. They know their ideal viewer. Hook them in from the beginning. Don't start with the learning objectives. Start with how is this going to help you in your everyday life?
With them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Have your content, but keep it short, only to what they honestly say. I just got off of a call talking about subject matter experts and what do you do when they give you too much content? I tell them, you have 3 slides and that's all you get. What content are you giving me? It's that same concept with TikTok. And then that call to action, that's having them actually participate in something, whether they're trying it for themselves, filming it and sharing it. Those are all things that, that experiential learning, those are all things that we talk about, and we're missing the boat on really combining it all and really utilizing it in this short, effective way. So it doesn't have to be a 20-minute e-learning module anymore. You could really chop it up into little pieces, but the key about those chopping it up into little pieces is having it in the place where people are going to be able to go in that moment of need. No one's ever going to go back to the LMS. Sorry, all our LMS vendors that are listening, but no one ever goes back to the LMS. They go, they take their training, and then when they get stuck, they look for a resource that a job aid maybe you provided, or they now DM their friend on Teams and ask them the question because they don't have a place to really go and pull that information from where they are in that moment.
Ooh. How long are these videos?
So they could be as short as 7 seconds, depending on the content.
Wow.
But so I have found that between 30 and seconds and 60 seconds is the best. TikTok is playing with 3 to 10 minute videos, and that's like that. You're getting into the YouTube. That's now you're getting into the YouTube space for me. I also check out from TikTok videos because they're TikTok videos. They're 30 to 60 seconds. I check out after a minute. So I say the sweet spot is 30 to 60 seconds on them.
Oh, cool. And like, can you do like a curated playlist or I'm just thinking of ways to do like a series of things.
So you can't playlist on the TikTok platform, but that is something that I share with those who are interested in how they can use it. A lot of people can't use the TikTok platform. Totally understand. You can borrow the style and create that same type of content in your own. Maybe you have a YouTube channel that y'all use or a Vimeo, and then you can create those playlists, or even utilizing Teams or Yammer channels or Slack channels and curating those playlists in that sort of way.
Oh, wow.
Are there organizations that are using the TikTok platform itself? Meaning, and I guess I'm really thinking about this, I'm following more the external application, but for internal training, do you see that there are organizations that are using TikTok in that way? Or are they more looking for some of these ways to take the TikTok experience and bring that into an internal platform?
I'm seeing more of the latter.
Yeah.
I will say, because that feels safer for them.
Oh, I get that.
Yeah, totally. And I totally understand. And that's really where my talk is, where I go with all of my talks about it, is that let's just borrow the style and borrow the concepts. That being said, there are companies that are looking into actually maybe not utilizing that platform, but utilizing more of those style of videos and utilizing that. So I'm getting a lot more DMs from internal practitioners that are asking more questions about where can I host this that maybe isn't the TikTok platform. But there are also companies that are using it on the marketing side and doing like life at TikTok or Google and giving people that insight into what it would be like to work there, which has been a really powerful recruiting tool.
Oh, I love it. Now, for those that are interested in maybe creating TikTok-like videos within their organizations, can you share a little bit about the process and tools that you use? Like, do you do a little storyboard and how do you do this?
I still do storyboard in the sense of I just need to write out. I have my idea of what I want it to be, and then I just have to write out what I'm going to say because I will mess it up every single time and I will fumble. And I also know that one of the keys with TikTok videos, and I see YouTube starting to do more of it, is jump cuts and changing. Even if I'm just changing my angle, I actually did this for my own ATD chapter that I'm president of the Mid-New Jersey chapter. We just had a tech showcase. And so I did a 3 reasons why you want to join. I did it from exactly this chair. I literally just changed every clip, every reason was just a different angle. Oh, wow. In this room, but it kept people's attention a little bit more because I was jumping around, right? So I did write down like truly just bullet points. And then I just used my phone and portrait, thank you, portrait mode, not landscape. That is not the TikTok style. Portrait mode. And I just record myself in the 3 or 4 different clips. And then I bring it into either TikTok or Instagram, depending on where I'm going to be deploying it. And I cut them all together. The reason I prefer to edit on Instagram is because I don't get the watermark that TikTok has.
Right.
So I prefer not to have that on my videos if I'm going to, share them out. So I will do that on Instagram Reels, but it's super easy because all I do is pull the clips together. If I need to make them shorter, edit them, I could either do that from the native app on my phone, or I could do it right in Instagram or TikTok. I add my text and then I'm done. I just have to pull it down. When I pull it down from, Instagram or TikTok, it's an MP4. I can now deploy it anywhere. So it's a really, really simple editing tool. That being said, sometimes I can get a TikTok done in a minute because I maybe I'm lip syncing to something and we're just going to put a little note, right? I did one TikTok that was tell me something that you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud. And that was literally just me sitting there listening, and I just pointed down and then we just added the text. That took no time. And it's just those little things that make them relatable, a little bit more funny. And, it's great to finally be creating content of things that we're all thinking, we're just not maybe saying, but we all need to be sharing these tips and these tricks.
And sometimes it's about that, infusion of creativity. It breaks things up. It's one of the reasons that we look at variety when it comes to learning. Not everyone wants to learn the same way all the time. So borrowing from some of these concepts that maybe you're familiar with in, say, your personal life, that is perfectly applicable in a lot of cases at work. So that gets me thinking too. Tell me a little bit about buy-in, because I would imagine that there would be people out there who would get really excited about this idea of bringing a TikTok style video to their organization, and they would hit the proverbial brick wall when they get to their boss, their boss's boss, who's like, no, I'm sorry, we're not bringing anything social media into the organization. What tips do you have as far as how you might get that information to the people that need it and help to build that buy-in around this idea?
Yeah, absolutely. I hit those walls very often. People are very scared of the platform.
Sure.
And listen, I come from a place where I know some things, we can't always, I dream big and I know where people or organizations can go. It's going to take us a lot of time to get there. So instead of trying to get them to do all the things, I try to get them to do a few things. So we'll show them an example of something, or I would utilize a TikTok video as an invitation to your next training event. Instead of sending a save the date, send a TikTok video, 3 things that you're going to learn. Here's the date. This, click the link below to register. It's super simple. And then once you start doing those little things, it doesn't feel strange anymore, right? It's only crazy until it works, truly. And then you're a genius, right? My good friend told me that. And I said, that's right. That's actually very, very true. And so if you could do those kinds of little things to normalize it a little bit and show people how it works. And if you're on an internal team, why don't you just try it on your own internal small project? And then you can bring it to your stakeholders and say, look, we wanted to learn, I don't know, some more tips and articulate storyline. And this is how we were able to share that knowledge amongst each other. And we did it in this style. We're not utilizing the platform. There's no singing and dancing. It's truly just a different way to cut your content and pull it together.
I love those strategies because it really pulls some of the risk out, especially if you're talking about hosting on an internal platform. You're not sending your employees to TikTok during the day. I know a lot of organizations would prefer not to send their teams to any external social media in order to keep them focused.
I mean, they're there anyway, but
they are. They just, you just might find them there. But I love the idea that you can minimize some of that risk and maybe even some of those hurdles by encouraging just, a couple of quick videos. See what the consumption is on those. Are people watching them? How are they engaging? Do they talk about them? It's such a low investment of time and, from what you describe, resources that many of us have access to. So it makes it a lot easier.
We have it in our pockets already. We're on it already. And I think the other thing that we just can't ignore is the workforce that's coming in now. They're digital natives. They prefer video. They prefer to pull the content for themselves. And while we may not always, I don't always love to pull together a TikTok video. Sometimes I don't want to be on camera. They don't mind being a creator, right? They're already probably a creator or were a creator when they were in high school. It's not going to feel so strange for them. And what's interesting to me is when I speak with organizations and they want to engage more of their younger employees, but they refuse to try to engage them with the ways they want to be engaged. They want them to engage with the organization with the way the organization has always engaged. There is a way we can pull from like I always say, the old school and the new school. There's a way to bridge that, right? And it's okay, so maybe we're not going to do the singing and the dancing from TikTok, but we can share those same concepts in that style. And it's bridging that both. And I think if we could do more of that, we'll see a lot more engagement and a lot more buy-in.
I love that. Well, and so speaking of TikTok style, so what I'm hearing earlier, we went over like almost like the timeline for the video. But so TikTok style would be like portrait, and it would be someone speaking. Is there any other style? I mean, would it include any of, like explainer videos without like a talking head, for lack of a better term?
There's a ton of that on TikTok, right? There is, I believe her handle is Miss Excel. She shares Excel tips that truly blow my mind. I'm gasping and my husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just figured out that I spent way too much time trying to export data from Excel. It's fine."
So I'm hearing like screen capture instead of just like an iPhone. Yeah, you do
screen captures with that. Absolutely. And I've also actually just put up some quotes. It'll just be some sort of stock video. And then I'll utilize, inspirational quotes or motivational quotes. And that's the entire TikTok video. And things like that are really cool too, to share tips and tricks without actually having someone that needs to be on camera and speaking.
Oh, cool. And are you doing this? Are you doing the editing still like in Instagram, or is there different tools that you're using?
You could still do the editing in Instagram. You can also do the editing in Camtasia, things like that. So,
I love Camtasia.
And if you wanted to do it horizontal, you could still get that same type of effect.
Okay.
There is so much I had not considered about applying TikTok. And honestly, really so much of what we're experiencing on social media into the way that we train. And I think what you shared about unlocking the creators in our organization was really, really eye-opening for me, because it could be that you have your training team doing this, but why not engage creators across an organization? Give people that opportunity to shine, share what they know. I can see where that would be just incredible for engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all the Instagram, they're leaning into their creators. They're offering them more money to make more videos and do more things. And there has to be a reason, right? It gets people to be engaged in the platform. So if we can borrow that, I don't want to say steal, but borrow that same idea, it's going to get people more invested in your organization. Maybe you can't pay them more, but honestly, I think of, when I used to go to national sales meetings and hearing the reps, when I would bump into them in the airport or just in between sessions or even on our breaks, they were sharing best practices and tips and tricks. And when we went virtual, they couldn't do that as easily, right? But utilizing this sort of tool, they can now start sharing those best practices, tips, and tricks so that those that are coming into organizations where they don't have as much, face-to-face interaction where they can get those things, now they can get them through these quick videos.
Yeah. I mean, you've really allowed them to have some ownership over various parts of the business in a way, that opportunity to feel like they are really collaborating, that they're part of a team. That's invaluable. Their organization's trying to find ways to do that all the time to retain their staff. This feels like a really natural way to be able to engage people in what feels out of the box, but actually isn't that far out of the box.
Yeah.
It's really not. I got feedback, instead of me editing my own standard operating procedures for my business, handing it to my new hire. And I was like, oh, right, that's genius. And this is kind of that same thing, right? We don't always know all the tips and the tricks and the shortcuts or best practices. And this is a way to get that from the people that are actually using the system or doing the processes day in and day out.
Well, if people want to learn more, what resources do you have for them?
Yeah, so I have an article and a webinar that I've done on actually a couple of webinars, maybe 3 on TikTok. So I can share that link so everyone can have access to all of our TikTok content.
Awesome.
I am thrilled that we've had the chance to have this conversation today. I'm also really glad that we're not quite done asking you questions. We've got 3 more. So We always love to end our episodes with a little bit of what we call rapid fire. So we've got a couple of questions for you. They don't take any more than about 60 seconds or so to respond to them. So what do you think? Are you ready for 3 more rapid fire style questions?
Love it. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right. Your first question today, give us one book that everyone must read and why.
Built to Sell. It's a book about selling your business, and it actually has, I'm not planning on ever selling my business. I'll guess never say never, but it taught me to really productize my services and really think about specializing to offer a better service to my customers and make my life easier. And it has just blown my mind. I actually give it out as pre-work to some workshops that we do internally, not internally, for our customers. And they are mind blown. It's also a really cool story. So it shows you the power of storytelling, because business books can be really boring. And I read the first 90 pages in 2 hours.
Wow. Okay. Well, that in itself is a testimonial if I've ever heard of one, because you're right. Not every book out there is that easy to read. Well, That's fantastic. Good choice. Your next question is, what is one tool that you can't live without?
TikTok.
I kind of thought you might go in that direction, and I'm glad you did.
Yes. I'm learning a lot, and it's a place for me to escape when I need a moment to just sit and laugh. Someone sent me a TikTok yesterday about Staten Island moms on Halloween, and I've never related more with a TikTok, and it was just so fun.
That in itself is a reason to be there, I think. Mm-hmm. Last question for you. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Give yourself some grace. I am very hard on myself, and it does not all have to be done at once. And I think that's what we all need to remember as professionals. We're not going to know everything. There's always going to be more to learn. So just give yourself some grace.
That is incredible advice.
Yes.
I hope everyone heard that. That is so important.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us today, Vanessa.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Oh, and of course, we would be remiss if we did not thank our community for listening in. And before you go, we have a message from our producer, Halyna Hodges.
Do you need consultant services? The Metro DC chapter of ATD has many talented members. Go to dcatd.org and check out our consultants directory under the resources menu option.
Follow the Metro DC chapter of ATD on LinkedIn today.